help fund to get all the schools outfitted with point-of-sale registers, and also improve your participation and your elementary level as well.
If we increase food offerings, and will you have to increase your staff?
I don't really think so, because my staff is on board with a lot of these new proposals that we're coming up with and new food ideas. They're always asking, geez, can we try this, can we try that? And it's the way you present it, instead of making more of this, you're making less of that. So they're pretty on board about it.
It's also managing production.
Short lines turned into 3 more buffet type lines. So that doesn't call for
in
more
one line,
staff.
I'm offering 2 or 3 different choices anyway. It's the presentation of it. I know they're all sunken in.
Okay.
You know,
and if you increase participation, you're not going to need more staff.
Well, again, that's I'd love to have that problem. You know, and I think that, you know, depending on how much you increase that participation, I think right now your staffing levels is adequate, and then to what our projections are. We far exceed our projections, which I love. Then we have to look at that. But it's all about production, about managing your production. So if you're making, you know, 5 items, a certain amount, but now you're making 10, you just have to work your production a little bit different, less of certain items, just expanding it. So,
the high school is at a bare minimum right now. They are at the least amount that they can be at. My elementaries is 3. Only one school has 2 serving lines, so I need to have 2 servers and a cashier. The other schools are at 3, so you know we can work around that. So.
I didn't increase it in Barnstable for here.
Right. So. We do have a large deficit.
Yes.
Right. They allowed it before.
We did, again, we do feel it's really important for scholarship and being part of the community. And the criteria, again, is up to you folks, how you see fit. I know certain districts split it up into several different scholarships, but usually it's offered in February, March timeframe. So, commitment to social responsibility. As a company, I think we're a leader in the industry as far as social responsibility goes. And, you know, from our recycling programs that we offer, resources, are really big locally grown produce. In fact, I think I discussed with Dr. Troughton a couple weeks ago that we've actually gone as far as giving the local farmers how much seeds they need to plant for us to use in the fall. So we're actually going a step further, and we're involved in the planting process now. So in September, we've got a whole week that actually we're providing locally grown produce from what we've actually asked them to provide for us, which is really important.
I sit on the Health Advisory Council also, and we're always talking about social responsibility. We had a letter from a 5th grader regarding styrofoam trays. I have somebody, I have cardboard ones coming in tomorrow, and we can see how those work. Also, we're promoting that September 21st to the 25th, and I brought that up at the meeting. I've also brought in how we utilize a lot of our commodities. So we are trying to tie it all together.
Expanding nutrition resources. Again, we're expanding our balanced choice meals, snacks, and beverages, which is actually, we're providing those now, but actually we've got an expanded menu now for balanced choice, which is basically a menu that exceeds regulated criteria. So it's really important that we're in the forefront to fighting against child obesity. We offer 10-minute nutrition plans for faculty use now is online. We're actually developing websites tying in our nutrition messages for our clients, and I've been working with Carl on that a bit too, so that would be great to expand our communication using the website. Classroom instruction, we have our dietitian and our regional chef available to do in-services or do some classroom time as well. And our last is actually, I did go over our character visits. Really helpful to tie school lunch into some fun activities, whether it's in the cafeteria, one that doesn't cause too much confusion in the meal period, or a structured assembly, having a character and someone else talk about nutrition, which is very, very helpful for our students.
All of that new signage is up in all the schools. When the students came back in September, it was all hanging up, so there were quite a bit of questions. Regarding a turnkey operation, we have a new steam table in the Little, and in February, when all the students came back after February vacation, there were lights were there, there were tables, and oh wow, this is like a real restaurant. We were very excited. And in the 5 years, that school had never had more lunch participation than any other. And I called them to let them know that on one day that they did more than any other school, and they were extremely excited. So the participation has gone up a little bit at that school, maybe between 3 and 4%. So everything we do is key.
And that's pretty much it. Questions, we'll look to answer the questions if we have.
It's an question for, I guess for everybody. The lunch program is supposed to be self-sustaining, correct?
Yes.
So there's no money in the budget other than we do have an outstanding deficit, I believe, over the last, I don't know how many years. But, and you're guaranteeing break even the first year up
Correct.
to the administrative
Correct.
costs, correct? And I just, you know, given that you had no competition, which in this economy surprises me, why someone else is bidding, but given that, and the fact, I think this is the $5,000 in the scholarships and the $15,000 commitment for the point of sale, I think this is a pretty generous proposal, given the situation of being the only bidder. So I'm pretty happy with it. And I do think that more choices, the environment that the kids are eating in. You know, I'll be honest with you, Dr. Troen probably won't want to hear this, but I'm troubled each day. I see another federal or state mandate telling you what we have to tell our kids they have to eat at the high school, because I think that's up to the parents. But given that you have to live under those guidelines, I think you've done a good job of what you're presenting to us.
I just have one question
Sure.
about the nutritional component. Have you done research on all of these components to sort of see what the effect of expanding nutrition and education has been in the schools that you've worked in?
I think the impact of developing the programs, I think it just, the philosophy is really starting at a young age. You know, getting elementary kids really making the wise choices. You know, there's so much we can do to impact change, but if we can impact change at the elementary level, research has shown that, you know, you see the trends changing at the elementary level, which is growing into their middle school and high school. So they're making better choices. I've seen them over the last 5-6 years to change the trends. And I think if you introduce it at a younger age and really get them with a combination of health education, activity, and, you know, knowledge of, you know, what they're eating, and having fun, start them young and actually they carry on into their other ages.
And if you go to any of the schools, elementary right to high school, there's at least 2 or 3 different types of fresh fruit. There's green apple, there's a red apple, there's the orange smiles that we have daily. Sometimes there's bananas, there's grapes, there's carrot sticks, in addition to, the cooked fruit. So we do offer that on a daily basis.
So learning.
Yeah, you should come and visit.
I am going to be coming and visiting. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone wanna make a motion?
I do actually have one more question. The option every year, that's our option to renew or, well,
Our option.
It's our option, okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the Chartwell contract as presented to us by Mr. Nelson.
I'll second.
Any further question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Unanimous. Thank you very
Thank you
much
very
for
much.
this evening.
Come visit, come lunch.
I'm gonna wait till you upgrade.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll have an open house.
For that.
Do it before.
I don't wait till you have cookies and ice cream. After.
Yeah, we can't have cooked bread.
I don't do fruit and healthy food.
I'll be at the ice cream stand.
You didn't start early that day.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with me now.
No.
No. Right. Well, that sugar's done me just fine.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. We're going to move right into the public hearing portion part of our budget. Unfortunately, we don't have good news. I was going to get the overhead together, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Troughton, but many of you have been following along with us, hoping that through the time that we bought between what would have been April town meeting being postponed to June, that we would have been able to get our collective minds together and solve the problem that's been handed to us. Try as hard as we have yet to be able to close the gap in the school budget. The gap has gotten bigger Last Friday, we received new numbers that indicated that the town of North Reading will take another sizable hit in local aid, and the schools will bear their portion of that hit. So, as it stands today, our budget is out in the range of $750,000. Now, there's monies coming in the hopes of filling that gap. We're using some stimulus money. At the same time, we continue to get more news of increased expenses. Last Friday, we learned of $298,000 in increases to our budget, which we were not aware of in April. So we can budget for that now that we have the time. But it made the hole we were in that much bigger. And of course, the Senate budget made it a little bit bigger. We're working diligently to close this gap. We have reduced salary pools in our budget. We have counted on some stimulus money, although a conservative number, and still the gap is getting bigger. So I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Troughton at this point to explain what's left in the budget that has not been cut. So far, we've only made cuts that we call level 1 reductions. We have not gone to level 2 reductions, and for those of you that have been following, that is the level where our athletic account would go to a full supporting increase in user fees, and the school budget would not support athletics at all. And also in the tier 2, a major hit to classroom teachers, somewhere in the range of 15 teachers, 15 staff members could be let go. We have resisted going to that level of cuts. We're not proposing them at this time either. But we'll give you some ideas that we have around the deficit and what we can do to close it.
Carl actually has a presentation, and while he's loading that, what I'd like to do is to make sure everyone is on the same page around certain definitions, so that when Carl does the presentation, it will make hopefully better sense. Mrs. Barker mentioned the stimulus money. So that's certainly been out in the media quite a bit in the last several months. And I just want to make sure that everyone understands what that's all about. The stimulus money goes by the more formal name of the American Recovery.
Welcome to Smart Drive Computing. Your new U3 Smart Drive turns any computer into your personal workspace with your own software.
That's what we'll have when we don't have classroom teachers.
You could replace the
Pardon me.
The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, ARRA, is designed to provide, starting at the state level and then down to the local level, specific money to both recover and maintain efforts in the budget, as well as to reinvest in the future of schools and the communities and the state and ultimately the nation. What does this mean for schools? In terms of North Reading, there are basically 2 buckets of money that will be allocated over the next 2 years, FY10, which is next fiscal year, and FY11. One of those buckets is in the area of special education, or what is known as IDEA, Individuals with Disability and Education Act. And this money is targeted at a fixed amount over 2 years. Basically, it's about $640,000, and you think of 50% of it, about $320 allocated for FY10, and an additional $320,000 allocated for FY11. I will also mention that any